guys, we're back with Skinny Medic, and we're going to be talking about first aid kits today, especially kits that you keep at your home or if you're traveling in your car, something that's very versatile that kind of covers a lot of bases. Skinny Medic has been a paramedic or an EMT for over 7 years, does a lot of instructing for different classes, and very knowledgeable about this field, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring him onto the channel and talk about a lot of these things. One of the first things that we want to talk about, though, is selecting a place to put your gear. And it's very important to put it in something that you can immediately identify as first aid gear, because you may not be in the position or you may not be within range to let someone know exactly where it is. This way it'll be very evident.
Seems like you were talking about, I chose this bag because of its bright color. So if someone's in an accident or if I'm in an accident, I can just tell them to grab my orange bag. So it's something that's going to stand out and be found very quickly. This bag has a lot of pockets to keep your gear organized in it. Has a lot of padding. This bag has a lot of elastic loops to keep your items organized for your little smaller items. Here also has a pouch in the lid that can fold down. And it just keeps everything nice and organized for you, so when the crisis happens, you can find your stuff very quickly. Suits, a lot of things that's going to kill you is your airway. If you don't have an airway, you're going to die fairly quickly. Breathing is something that's going to affect you, and circulation if you start bleeding out. So this kit is designed to help me take care of the average person just in that situation until help arrives with their airway, their breathing, and their circulation. If we're somewhere where we're not going to get help, then this kit's not complete. I'm going to need a lot more equipment. But this is something to get help if help's coming within 15 minutes to up to an hour. So your number one thing too is your safety. You've got to be able to protect yourself in order to help others. These latex-free gloves are going to provide a barrier between you and your patient. If they're bleeding, it just keeps your hands clean and risk of infection down. And when you have someone who's bleeding profusely, an arterial bleed, that blood can be squirting 5-6 feet away from the patient. So having a good pair of eye protection is going to be a must. So each one of the first things I've got is these cold packs. And these are going to be helping for your fractures, your dislocations, your sprains, your strains. These are going to help with swelling and also help with pain management.
Now, are those instantly cold? I mean, what can you just pull those out and use them as is?
Yeah, you pull these out and you can break them with your fist or slam them to the ground, and it breaks the little pack in there and they start instantly cooling. And they'll last for about 15 minutes or so. Next, Sush, we have these CPR masks, and these are going to give you a barrier between you and your patient, because when your patient goes into cardiac arrest, one thing they don't teach in your CPR class is your patient is going to start vomiting and have all kind of fluids coming up. So this gives you a barrier of protection so that fluid does not go down your mouth. It's always a good idea to have several triangle bandages in your pack. These can be used for fractures of the arm, your leg, or a shoulder injury. You can use them to tie things together. They also come with 2 safety pins as well per pack. So those are very handy. And with bleeding being our major problem out in the field, I have lots of bandaging and lots of bulky dressing. Different size. This is an abdominal pad. It's 8 inches by 10 inches when it's unwrapped. I also have several 4x4s here that are just really thin for minor injuries. And then we've got some 5x9 paddings. This is going to help control bleeding. Also, I've got the big bulky dressings, but it's always good to have just a few band-aids in your pack. Me being a paramedic, someone always comes to me and says, "Hey, you got a band-aid for my little kid? He's cut his finger." So it's kind of good PR just to have something just small available. I also have several cling here. This is just a real thin cloth that you can use to wrap injuries with that are bleeding, where you've put bulky dresses on. These will hold the bulky dressings in place. Got a couple boxes, a couple different items here. I've got another large dressing here, as well as some smaller pads that are just in different packaging. Also keep some antibiotic ointment. Besides your airway, breathing, and circulation, infection is going to be a big thing, especially if you can't get help for a long period of time. So keeping the infection down will help your survivability. Speaking of infection, I also keep some normal saline around. This is good for washing out your eyes if you get something in your eyes. It's also good for washing out wounds if you get a lot of dirt. It helps keep the bacteria and helps keep infection down just by cleaning out the injury before you start to bandage it.
Now, I notice you have some duct tape.
Yes.
And I have some of the regular white medical tape. Tell me why you carry that.
I carry the duct tape because if you're having to secure someone such as like a leg fracture or an arm fracture, this medical tape here does not stick quite as well as just regular good old-fashioned duct tape. It's not the most sterile, it's not the most clean thing, but if you're securing someone to a leg fracture, then you're going to need a lot of tape to help hold it in place to keep for pain down. So this is just a lot easier and it sticks a lot better. With any kind of traumatic injury, you can't fix it unless you can find it. So having a good pair of scissors to cut the patient's clothing off to find the injury site is very important. These are very strong. They'll cut through metal, so they can very easily cut through leather or any kind of denim or cotton.
And it has that funny tip on the end too.
Yes, this funny tip is so you don't actually injure the patient more. By when you start going into their clothing, it doesn't cut the patient.
Open those up for me, please.
Another tool that I carry on my belt every time I'm on the truck is this Smith & Wesson first responder knife. It has a serrated edge as well as has the blunt end that can also be used as a screwdriver. But the most important thing I like about this, it has a window tool on it. It's this very sharp point here. You can pull this lever back and you let go, just like that, a lot quicker. But it'll shatter any window on your car with the exception of the front windshield because it's a safety glass. But to gain easy access to your patient that's entrapped, this works very, very well. I've never had it fail while trying to enter a car.
Well, also that would be excellent if, let's say, you went down into a river or your door was damaged and you couldn't get out of the car.
Correct.
I know I've done that for my mother-in-law, my wife, and different people. My mother, buying these things to be able to, in case there was an accident off the side of the road. Cutting seatbelts too.
Yep, works very well. Another example of a knife that you can carry is this Vortec knife. It has the seatbelt cutter built in. Also has the same punch here, but instead of spring-loaded, you're going to have to press it against the glass. Has a serrated as well as a sharp edge here. The only thing I do not like about this knife is it has the pointed end, so you could injure someone by that. Or of course, on the same hand, you could use it for self-protection.
Now I want to say thanks for Skinny Medic. He's been an EMT for 7 years, as I've said. He's been in the field, he knows what he's talking about, and I really am glad to have him on the channel going through a lot of these really serious situations that you may encounter. Whether it's WROL, and that is without rule of law, or just an everyday situation, coming up on a car wreck, or being in one yourself, and or at home when something happens, this will have you better prepared. This is sensible survival at its core. So go to Skinny Medic's channel, and he has other videos that he's uploading that are dealing with a lot of these things in more detail. We will be doing a video coming up on fractures and trying to hit some of these really serious things that you need to know as someone who is preparing to be independent and more self-reliant. You know, the more your neighbor is prepared, the better you'll be prepared. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more fun gun reviews and sensible survival. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Just the better you're prepared, the better.
You can use these to tie to a board to help secure the board for a fracture.
Just getting someone to professional help, and this is not really going like I want it to go, so
Coming up. So this gives you a barrier of protection so that fluid does not go down your mouth.
unless it's a really hot chick.
True.
And really looking for help. Actually,